Hi everyone, welcome to e-learning. So we're going to be doing some grade 7 natural sciences and the topic is the biosphere. Now it's important to learn what the biosphere is about, but before we get into that, you're going to learn about important words. Now it's important to develop your vocabulary and you need to know the following words. Adapt. Adapt means to make something suitable. Atmosphere is all the gases on the earth. Aquatic has to do with all the water on the earth. Component is basically the elements that make up something. Like, for example, in grade 6 natural sciences, you learned about the electric circuit and about the wires and the cells all made well, all components that made up the electric circuit. The hydrosphere has to do with all the water on the earth. The lithosphere is the rocky outward layer of the earth. Matter is something that takes up space, and organic foods that are free from fertilizer. And photosynthesis is when the process of making food and using the sun's energy, which is turned into light energy and thus into chemical energy. Now you're going to ask yourself, what is the biosphere? Basically, the biosphere means Bio comes from biology and it has to do with living things. Sphere is a sphere around sphere. So a biosphere is all the living um, uh, life that sustains the earth, right? So a correct definition of the biosphere is where life exists in our planet, including the soil, rocks, water, and air. Now, the biosphere, it includes an interaction of the land, water, and air, where all the living organisms interact and exist on the earth. And it also includes the atmosphere, which is the air, the hydrosphere, which is the water, and the lithosphere, which is the land. And all these organisms and all these spheres interact with each other to sustain life. Now, you also get living organisms and dead organic matter in the biosphere. Now, the components of the biosphere, I just did it with you. You need to learn it, you need to understand it. And in the test, they can ask you list 3 components of the biosphere and explain um, what each means. Right, then let's look at the Earth's surface here. You have the outer core and then the inner core. The inner core is right, the yellow bulb, as you can see over here. Now, the blue part is the outer core, and this outer core is basically the ocean's crust. Now, below the ocean crust, you can see is the brown layer. This brown layer is called the lithosphere. Now, this lithosphere also moves up into the Earth's surface, and it is known as the soil and the rocks on the Earth. Now, the lithosphere basically um, includes all the soil and the rocks, and it comes and it makes now on the ocean floor, if you can see here on the picture, you get tectonic plates. These tectonic plates basically forms the all the different our continents rest on these tectonic plates. And in geography, you're going to learn about the continental drift. Continental drift is when the tectonic plates collides with one another, and when they collide with one another, they form earthquakes, volcanoes, and also mountains form. But the continental drift is also when the land also drifts away from each other. Before all, our land was one, and as time went by, the continental drift occurred where they collided with each other or separated, and land separated into the different continents that we have. And this all happens on the lithosphere. Now you need to understand lithosphere has to do with rocks and soil. And the lithosphere also has to do with the ocean's crust. The hydrosphere has to do with all the water on the earth. That is the rivers, lakes, glaciers, even the ocean. And it makes up 71% of the earth's surface, and it's very, very important in supporting life and regulating temperature and also shaping the earth's patterns, because without water, life cannot be supported. Right, so we are constantly moving through a process of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So you can see here in this diagram, it forms the water cycle. So just to quickly go through the processes, evaporation is when water changes to when liquid water changes into a gas. Condensation is when this water condenses and it changes back into water. And precipitation is when that water that has been condenses is now ready to fall back into the earth as rain, hail, or snow. And then you can see collection here at the bottom. Collection is when the water is being stored underneath the mountain or on the ocean as well. So now, if we look at this picture, can you tell what spheres occur? Now, if we look at the water, it's a hydrosphere. This rocks here is the lithosphere, and the air around all these places, which is made up of gases, which these gases are nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. All these interact with each other to support life, and the atmosphere also protects the Earth from blocking the harmful UV rays from um, harming us. It also regulates temperature and it provides us with air. Now, we know we know everything that I just discussed, we can discuss in a mind map. It's very easy to learn through a mind map. So we look here, we see what is the biosphere at the center. It includes the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the atmosphere. The biosphere is where life exists. It is made up of dead organic matter and living things. Then we say that the living things are basically plants, animals, and microorganisms. Now, the living things are basically adapted to the environment and they carry out the seven life processes. A very easy way to remember the seven life processes is Mrs. F. Big. That's a mnemonic. So M is for movement, R is for reproduction, S is for sensing. Sensing is sensitivity. That's Mrs. Then F is for feeding. You need to eat food to grow, right? B is for breathing. E is for excreting. What goes in must obviously come out. And G is for growing. So that is Mrs. F. Beg. That's the seven life processes. Then on the far left-hand corner, we say in the biosphere, it provides the requirements for you to live. Now, these requirements are basically energy, gases, water, soil, and favorable conditions and temperatures, which is what we're going to be going into in the next slides, just after explain what an organism is. So basically, an organism is all the living things on Earth that is structured. So you can see here, you have an organism. An organism is made up of atoms and molecules all together, but it is structured in a way that it forms something. For example, you are human, you are structured in a certain way to form your body. Plants are structured in a certain way to make up the different plants that they are, just like the birds and insects. So these organisms adapt to the conditions in its habitat and it exists and it lives according to the habitat it is suited for. Some organisms cannot live in certain habitats, therefore they die and they become extinct. So now I told you about Mrs. F. Beck, the characteristics of living plants and animals. These are notes for you that you can go through in your own time, but I did explain what each one of them are, but you need to learn them for your exams. Then we have the requirements for sustaining life. Now, obviously, you need suitable conditions. Your environment needs to be adapted for you to live in that environment. So, these are you need energy. Now, the sun's energy, you indirectly get the sun's energy from the foods that you eat. Be it a plant absorbs energy, you are indirectly getting it. If you eat an animal, the animal eats the plants, and they also indirectly get the energy, and you get the sun's energy as well. Then gases, you need gases to live. You are breathing in oxygen, the plants are giving you oxygen, you are breathing carbon dioxide. The plants are absorbing your carbon dioxide to give you energy, so you are interdependent. You are dependent on the plant. That's why it's very, very important for you to take care of your environment and not litter. When you litter, you cause water pollution, you're also causing land pollution, and you're looking at an environment that is unsightly where you don't really want to live. But if you have a clean environment, it's good for you to live. Other requirements is water, soil, and also favorable temperatures. You cannot live in a place that is too cold and too hot. You have to have a moderate temperature for you to live, because your body can only go up to a certain temperature and your body cannot go down below a certain temperature. So you have to live within specific temperatures. Right. So you need to be good to your environment, and your environment will take care of you. So energy comes from the places, things that you eat. I explained that to you. The gases is I explained that to you as well. These are notes for you to take down so you can learn about it. Water, you cannot live without water. Even the plants that you are going to eat requires water to grow. Right, then we have soil. Without soil, plants cannot grow. In the soil, it has minerals and it has water. And when other animals and plants decompose, it provides nutrients to the soil. So it's very important to have a good soil for plants to grow so you can exist. Favorable temperatures, I explained that to you. Right. Please study. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in my next one. Good luck, everyone, and bye. Have a lovely evening.